Hello and welcome to F1 Reacts. Today we're going to be looking at some of the best social media as drivers and fans react to the news that Kimi Raikkonen and Charles Leclerc will be swapping next year. Leclerc going to Ferrari and Kimi Raikkonen going back to his first ever F1 team, Sauber. So starting off with Charles, he says, "Dreams do come true. I'll be driving for Ferrari for the 2019 Formula 1 World Championship. I'll be eternally grateful to Ferrari for the opportunity given to my family." Obviously, he must be very overwhelmed with what's happening so far. It was expected that he would move to Ferrari at some point in his career, but perhaps not this early. But either way, I'm sure he'll be prepared and he'll be ready to start once testing comes around in Barcelona in the new year. He also went on to say, "I'll work harder than ever to not disappoint you, but first there is a season to finish with an amazing team that gave me the opportunity to fight and show my potential. Let's go Sauber F1 team." Very humble of him to remember who he's with just now, and he does have a very good car in that Sauber garage, and I'm sure he'll be trying his hardest to get as many points as possible so they can climb the constructors table and get more money for next season. I'm sure he'll find that'll be a good way to repay them for the faith they showed in him, taking him on at the start of this season. Next up, from Kimi Raikkonen on Instagram, he said, "Guess who's back? Next 2 years with Sauber F1 team ahead. Feels extremely good to go back where it all began." I'm sure he'll be very excited. It's a new challenge for him. He's been at Ferrari for a few years now. Perhaps he feels it's time to move on. And I'm sure Sauber will be a nice challenge for him, trying to get a lower midfield team up the order a wee bit, and I'm sure he will relish that. Next up, from a man who has been a bit misplaced by this announcement, and that is Esteban Ocon. Widely known that he will not be at Force India next season. Perhaps thought that he might go to either Ferrari or Sauber, but those two doors have now shut. So he is feeling a bit left out. Everyone feels that he is too talented to be out of Formula 1 next season, but he said, "I have to thank everyone for all the kind messages and support I receive every day. We have been in tough situations before and we've always overcame those." He said, "I'm born to race and my only goal is to be champion and will always be." Undoubtedly a very talented driver who certainly deserves a seat in F1, but we just all have to hope that he can find one for next season. Otherwise we'll see where else he can go in the motorsport world. Up next, from Andrew Benson, BBC F1 correspondent, he follows the same line as Ocon. He says, "Meanwhile, yes, there are complications, but will someone do the right thing and sign Esteban Ocon?" Obviously a much loved figure in the paddock among the drivers and among the fans as well, and he will be sorely missed if he does not manage to get a seat for next season. Up next, from Ted Kravitz, Sky Sports pundit, he said, "Kimi's popped up at Sauber where he'll still be racing at 41, not that he ever seems to age." Of course he is going to be 41 by the time his contract is up, but as they say, age is not necessarily a barrier. If you're fast enough, then it does not matter how old you are. In that case, certainly applies to Kimi. Up next, from WTF1, they have a stat that says Charles Leclerc will be the youngest person to join Ferrari in F1 since 19-year-old Ricardo Rodriguez in 1961. Ferrari have a bit of a habit of taking on more experienced drivers, certainly in recent history, and this is a bit of a curveball perhaps to try and throw Mercedes off in the championship fight for next season, but we'll just have to wait and see if that pays off. But Charles is definitely Ferrari calibre anyway. And finally, from Adam Todd F1, he picks up on a separate point. He says, "Great to see Kimi Raikkonen staying in F1 with Sauber, but I feel that means Antonio Giovinazzi will miss out on a race seat again, which is a shame as he's a very talented driver." Obviously Giovinazzi's been in and out of F1 for a while. He was in Sauber a few times in the past couple of seasons. Undoubtedly a very talented driver, but just not able to find the seat yet. Perhaps won't happen again this year, but hopefully it'll happen in years to come. as he has definitely got that F1 potential. So that is all the reaction from the news that Raikkonen and Leclerc will be switching seats for next season. Plenty of driver announcements still to be made in the coming months, so make sure we keep up with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.